Welcome back, everyone. And we are here, the Game One Loves Forever, the golf podcast. And we are here today. Thank you so much for Will, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm excited today because Will is a PGA teaching professional. And just before we started, he kind of, we played a match. So look out for that, see who won the best of there, the little 3-hole stroke play. And then, we just he looked at my swing a little bit. And so be gentle. I'll kind of want to know, what'd you think?
It was solid. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Honestly, very, very, very solid. There's anytime one of the things in golf is you can always make improvement. So it's sort of a never-ending journey, which makes it fun. But from the onset, your moves how you move is really solid.
Okay, well, thank you.
I think as the 3-hole challenge alluded to, the short game is sort of where you want to make your claim.
Yeah. Sadly, I can't blame it on the simulator. That's sometimes what it looks like out on the course. So you guys will see that coming out soon after this. So I mean, if there's one thing that you kind of helped me work on a little bit, what was that philosophy you showed me or told me about? Right. And I think I really gravitated to it. So
it started with posture, which is funny. You can see I'm sitting in this chair and my posture sort of sucks.
Yeah.
So I should be probably here, right?
Yeah.
And in golf, your spine angle is critical. So you and I spent a good 5 to 10 minutes just talking about what does setup and posture look like in golf, because the whole movement pattern stems from there. In many ways, you could say that a player's ceiling is going to be predetermined on how they set up for a golf shot.
Yeah.
So just kind of understanding what that may look like so that the choice becomes the player on how well they want to be at posture. Then we dived into what feels can we get from the sensation of a knockdown shot, and then how is that used as an instrument of coaching? And I think it resonated quickly for you how that can really be used as a drill, to work on your game.
Yeah, it felt really smooth. It felt comfortable, and like I was just saying to you, it was compact, but it didn't feel like I could get in any trouble, right?
Yep.
And so it just felt good, and so I think, like you said, I'm going to keep working on that little 3/4 punch shot.
Totally,
just get that feel.
Your feedback to me was primarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was sort of driver centric, where I definitely want to have a peek at driver with Will. I feel I hit it pretty well. It's not the club getting me into trouble, but it's I'd like to have resolve to why every so often I get a big miss going.
Yeah.
But we started with a 7 and an 8 iron and developed a feel for a movement. And you probably didn't see it coming, but when you then grabbed driver, I said, work on that same thing.
Yeah, which I think is like against what I would think to work on with a driver, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
Only because I feel like you want to have a huge, or like a that baseball swing, huge, more steep iron shot, right?
Yeah.
But no, I like exactly what you're saying. I liked it. So.
Yeah, that the sensation of a knockdown 3/4 finish for anybody who is trying to develop pattern of movement that's efficient.
Yeah.
When you start from that premise, you quickly, in that smaller range of movement, can feel on your own, you can feel, oh yeah, I was unbalanced, or I felt this. And when you, on the opposing side, just try to make moves that are much fuller or larger ranges of motion, you find yourself in that realm where you go, oh, I hit a miss, but I'm not really certain what happened there, and you change constantly. Oh, let me try this, let me try that. But that idea of a 3/4 knockdown gives you one thought, one feel to focus on, and I think for each player that I've shown it to, it resonates quickly where they go, oh, cool, this is a shot, and I feel I could get good at this shot, and it very quickly lays the foundation to go, what if I just add a little more and add a little more? And then always bringing it back down when you feel it's sort of gotten off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, you can easily break it down and rebuild it, right?
Yep.
Whereas opposed to like I'm lost. Like I've had rounds where I stand over the ball and I'm lost. Like
Yep.
I just have no. I know I'm gonna hit it, but I don't know where it's gonna go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like could be a draw, could be a slice or a hook in this case, or it could be dialed in. You know, so.
Totally. There's so much movement taking place when you make a golf swing, especially when you go, I'm going to make this traditional full sort of like PGA Tour-esque looking shot.
Yeah.
Your knees are moving around, your hips are moving around, your arms and so on. And when you just think knockdown, we immediately isolate that and you tighten everything up.
Yeah.
And your awareness levels as a result go way through the roof about how the quality of movement's taking place.
Yeah. So you think, so one of my goals is going to be, or this year actually was, I'm going to have to roll it over, but this year was to, shoot in the 70s 10 times. You think just looking at the few holes we played, I got a good chance.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I said that immediately.
Yeah.
I said, actually, the thing I said is that you probably don't even have to work on your game to do that. Clearly,
just
everybody
play enough and it will happen, right? Yeah.
it would. Well, actually, what I mean to say is that there's nothing that you don't already have
Got it.
preventing you from doing that. If you just kept practicing and playing, and sort of like a great exercise that I received from a great coach once was, hey, Will, your swing's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like clearly, like I said earlier, there's always something to work on.
Yep.
But if you practice through the lens of going, I'm going to 100% commit to this shot, you'd be surprised at the numbers you can shoot.
Yeah.
And so in that same vein of thought, like if you didn't change anything, but you just practiced to targets, committed to them. I'm going to hit this shot 170 yards. Okay, whether I hit it perfect or not, now I have to hit another shot, and you practice that way.
Yeah.
I think you definitely hit your 10 rounds under 80.
Yeah, I think this year I shot a lot of, I think I told you 81s, 83s, a lot. And then I didn't play enough, unfortunately, to get. So, which is fine, I love having that goal again. So I'm excited. For next year so we can, now that it's out there in the world, now I got to do it.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
And then
you put it out in the universe.
If you decided to practice, what we were talking about is when we played our 3-hole challenge, things were good. You pounded the first drive, right?
Yeah.
But what sort of showed itself is like, okay, wait a minute, I'm losing strokes here when I got a wedge in my hand, when I've got a putter in my hand. So just chipping and putting, everybody knows, but investing your energy there is where you're going to really see the needle move.
And the thing I like about chipping and putting is you don't need to go buy a bucket of balls.
No,
you can go to a course, you can go to Haggin, you can go and just chip around, and putting greens are always open.
Totally. And a fun way to work on that is like using either 6 or 3 feet as a metric. So you can grab 5 or 10 balls and then chip them to 6 or 10 feet. Create a log of it. Okay, I got 3 out of 10 to 6 feet. All right, I'm 30%. And then that way you can really track what your progress is looking like and figure out what yardages are challenging.
Yeah, I think, and I was telling you, I had no feel, and even now I still am worried about those like 30-yard shots, 50-yard shots in, with my 58 degree. And sometimes like they look amazing. They look great. I put them within 8 feet. And sometimes it's like, boom, bladed across the, hit that 65-yard shot over the green, So I know it's in there, but like you said, I think you just need to hone it in and work.
I can't wait to, if given the chance, hop on your podcast again after, let's say, 6 months.
Yeah.
But that final moment where I was having you hit a 50-yard shot with the sensation of stopping at impact, it's definitely not the goal. The goal would be not to figure out how to abruptly stop there.
Yeah, which I was doing at first.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just taking that as a feel and going, all right, what if my sort of mind is under the impression that's where the end of the shot is, but you add athleticism behind that, you naturally end up at some version of an abbreviated finish past the ball, and that dynamic is rooted in efficiency.
Yeah.
And practicing those types of shots, I think you're going to feel that your short game gets better. But inherently, 30 to 70-yard shots, those are tough. And I guess the point I'm making is you want somewhat of a system in place Whereas when you're hitting those shots well, you feel like, well, I've got it today. Why did I lose it tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Feeling that abbreviated sensation, you'll start to sort of develop a formula for hitting those shots.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking a look and just kind of giving me that feedback. And, you know, I appreciate you kind of just giving your honest opinion. Yeah,
definitely. It was fun.
So, yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. And so getting back to when you have people come out, what's kind of the first, and we kind of did it, but explain to everyone, what's your process for, let's say, someone brand new? What would you?
Yeah, so I mean, I just first and foremost love acting or working as a coach. Like, I'm constantly getting to work with new people.
Yeah.
And I enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sure you see all types of.
I enjoy having fun with it. So clearly they're there for a golf lesson, but my favorite first question is like, hey, nice to meet you. My name is Will. Like, what are you here for?
Yeah.
And you can see, like, it's almost as if for the first time they're trying to sort out, why am I here?
Yeah.
What aspect of golf am I really interested in talking to this individual about? And sometimes they get on the defensive, and then I'll double down on it. Like, oh, is that really what you want to work on?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But
what's
then
the number one driver?
Oh, always. Yeah, always driver. And I would say 90% of the time, what I want to do is stick a wedge in their hand and see, like, can they chip it?
Yeah.
But then, I think I have a nature about me that I can then very quickly change the feel and show them that clearly I understand they're there for a golf lesson, and I'm thrilled that they've chosen me to help them. But the next line of questioning would be, I mean, similarly related. Like, what's your experience been? What are your favorite clubs? What shots are challenging? How long have you been playing? And sometimes, to be completely clear, I'm not even certain why I'm asking those questions. But at the very least, there's an engaging
dialogue.
There's a rapport being built, a trust being established.
You're doing your due diligence, and out of those questions, something will come up, right?
Oftentimes there are gems that come up that you then end up structuring lessons around. So there's just a bit of getting to know the player, and then I'll simply ask them, if it's become clear they're there to work on full swing, whether that's a driver or an iron, we'll probably start with an iron.
Yep.
And I try to create a safe space where it's like, hey, this is probably not the typical setting in which you practice, so it's going to feel challenging.
Yeah.
And if it is, no problem. Hit 5-10 golf balls. You're going to hit some left, some right. Maybe you're hitting them perfect. But you won't be able to hide. Even on the perfect ones, I'm going to sort of see movement patterns and what have you. And then from that warm-up, we start talking about what do we need to work on? How can I best help this player?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like you said, I think you kind of your approach puts people at ease, because even, me meeting you for the first time, I mean, right away, just like, oh yeah, this guy, Will's cool. Like, let's get into it. You weren't, well, let's not, you didn't look at my swing and say, well, let's, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing that.
Totally.
You just asked questions and you said, well, what do you think? What do you want to do? What do you want? Like, I did say, I hit my driver a few times, and you're like, do you think you need to work on it? And I'm like, and you made me think. I was like, actually, no, I don't need to work on it. It's fine on the course. I get through. If anything, like a humble brag is I'm too far, right? On courses, I hit too far.
That. You're like, I don't get to use my driver for the first 4 holes at the certain golf course.
At certain courses.
Yeah.
And you made me realize, no, I don't need to work on that, because I'm okay. I can get through around with my driver. It's around the greens. It's the wedges. It's so. That question, it was like, I hit the driver 3 times. I'm like, no, you're right. Let's put that away. Work on something else.
I'm glad. That's a great takeaway, honestly. I mean, that can be the benefit of a lesson right there. I mean, sometimes, and I'm no different. When I go try to get the advice of my colleagues and whatnot, I put the student hat on, and I'm immediately looking for, like, sort of the reassurance that what I do looks good.
Yeah.
And when I can get beyond that, it makes it more clear on what I need to work on and that kind of thing.
No, even I was, watching your swing as we were playing, and I mean, it just looks like the same thing. It doesn't matter what the club is. It looked like, driver, obviously.
I appreciate that.
But every iron, wedge, it just looked clean. The ball sounded amazing, and it just, was the same.
3/4 knockdowns.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, that's the mantra there.
Definitely.
So, I think, is there anybody like what's your coolest story as a coach?
Ooh, that's a good one. Geez, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is a little sentimental. Like I remember,
those are the best.
I remember learning the game when what seems to be like 5 or 6 years old. My godfather introduced me to the game, and he loved the game of golf. I would say he was like maybe borderline intermediate player. Was probably shooting in the 80s quite a bit, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the point is, he would teach me to putt. We would go to a golf course, and I remember my dad or mom telling me, "Hey, Roger's coming to pick you up," and I would go walk to the end of the driveway, and my dad's like, "It's like noon, like it's gonna be 5 o'clock before he's here." And of course,
you went right out there.
And the way I remember it is that I was out there for long periods of time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't noon, and I would doubt I was waiting 5 hours, but I remember being so excited. And that's the first memory that comes to mind in terms of cool stories, is that like those moments that I shared with my godfather are pretty powerful. And it was nice to be introduced that way, because early on I recognized that golf's more about having a pretty swing and what have you. But in terms of coaching, there's countless enjoyable moments that happen. But I remember there was a student I had, Vicky, and she was, gosh, oh boy, I don't want to say age. Let's just say she was older, and maybe could have been my grandparent. And she was awesome, had just an amazing attitude and joy for learning the game. And one day she showed up and she said, "Will, I want to work on bunkers." I said, "Awesome, like sweet. This is such a rare lesson. Usually people are avoiding that at all costs." So
I didn't even know that was an option. So next time I'll say,
yeah, totally. So where I work, there's several we can get into, and I remember thinking, I'm taking Vicky to the biggest bunker with the tallest lip. And like I mentioned earlier, I just threw a bunch of golf balls in there, and she's going, "What do I do?" And I said, "Well, you show me, Vicky. How do you get out of here?" And so I kind of put her in a situation, ridiculous, with a lip. It was taller than her twofold to get out. And then in one way, there was a lesson that I wanted to get across to her in a playful way. So, and I'll reveal that in a second. But what I said is, "All right, what are you going to do here, Vicky?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. I guess I'll grab this club and I'll try to get out." I said, "Wrong answer, Vicky." And she looked at me and she said, "I'm going to take my sand wedge and I'm going to hit it on the green." And I said, "Right answer, Vicky. Let's go." And and there was such a smile and a joy in that. And then we ended up having a wonderful bunker lesson. And for sure, she got out of that bunker a good majority of the time. And of course, there was other shots taking place there, but that, I think, highlights like why I enjoy working as a coach, is finding those moments where you can just connect with somebody, but at the same time find ways to help their game and have them enjoy the game of golf.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just in our time today, I want to get out and play again. It's like, I want to go. So
well, that's awesome.
But I hear rain's coming here in the Sacramento area.
Yeah.
The next few days.
Get a rain suit, man.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite
That's what I say.
rounds
Just get rain gear.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite rounds.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I remember it was like maybe right after high school or in high school. But one of my best rounds at the time was in rain, because then, I mean, you're a kid or younger, teens or older teens. You just go and play. You don't care, right?
Yeah. Totally.
So,
I miss that.
And the course was empty usually, which is nice when it rains. But yeah, ever since then, I'm like, oh, I love playing in the rain, because at the time, it was one of my best scores. And I think it was only like an 80. I say only mid 80s at the time. But I mean, I was like, oh, that's
you've got your own standard, and when you've hit it or broken it, that's a great feeling. I had a similar story where I was with two buddies. was raining. They called me up. And I said, you know, we're doing it. I'm like, all right, there we go. So we go off to like Wild Horse in Davis, and I hit a range ball through my whole round of golf. And man,
was that a bet or you just?
No, I was, you know, to reveal more. Like 9 years ago, I was no amazing golfer. I mean, 9 years ago, I was like shooting in the 90s, and like, you know, that was a big challenge for me. So, you know, fast forward 3-4 years, I'm getting better and so on, and playing the same ball the whole time wasn't that important to me, and I needed golf balls, so I hit a range ball, and I think I shot even par that day in the pouring rain with a range ball, and I get back to work, and my boss is like, what's this you're playing golf with? Like, we got to get you some balls here? What's going on?
Yeah, he's like, let's go buy some Titleist or something, or at least Callaway's, Top Flight, something, you know.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
We had fun that day for sure.
Yeah, I went with one of, but actually he's been on the podcast, John Burke. I went and played that Davis course with him, Wild Horse, right?
Yeah,
Wild Horse.
Yeah,
and I think he shot 2 under that day.
Yeah, that's a good test to go on.
And I was about to bet him, like, just play straight up match play because I thought I could hang with him. I'm like, no, I was not. So I'm glad we talked about the first few holes, and then we finished the first two holes. And I was like, you know what, let's just play. Let's just have some fun today.
There you go.
So, all right. So to get into kind of a funny topic, I got 2 for you. So the first one is, it's going to be Christmas. This is going to be our Christmas episode. And what's a good gift for golfers out there? Or what do you think every golfer should have in their bag? Kind of a 2-pronged question. But.
Yeah, I guess I could answer it multiple ways. I mean, an alignment stick is like such a tried and I don't have one of those, true. So, it's like the first and best training aid in golf. There's so many ways to use an alignment stick.
Yeah.
The most obvious is obviously alignment. But I mean, you can change the direction, so you're working on path a little bit. You can stick it in the ground for multiple reasons. You can actually swing it like a club for generating speed and learning the dynamics of release and what have you. So that one's nice. But if all you got somebody was an alignment stick for Christmas that they could have got for $4, maybe not the best gift.
You just hand it. You're like, you'll thank me later.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. But
I may not feel it at the time, but
I would say for your recreational golfer who's a real avid player and loves the game, if they don't have a rangefinder, they're for sure thinking about one.
Oh yeah,
and that's a really fun one to have. I was always a field player, never used one. And when I started using one, the game kind of changed. I can't really, now I feel like awkward when I don't have one.
You feel lost right out there?
To some extent, I can still walk off yardages and figure it out, but it's a nice toy to have, and it's a really fun toy to have. And if somebody bought me a nice rangefinder, I'd be like, oh, sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will say I got my watch as my yardage watch, Garmin, from as a gift. And now the rounds, either if it dies or it goes out, I realize how much I depend on that.
Yeah, right.
You know, just for like calculating or just having an idea. And the rounds that I don't have, even if I have a, rangefinder or you tell me the yardage, I still feel lost, to a certain degree.
It's hard to trust totally.
Or I like to know if I miss or if I get all of this club, what's the yardage I can miss to, like into the green, right? So,
absolutely.
Or front or whatever it is. But it's interesting now that with technology. Before, when we were in high school, you have to find the blue or the white and then count it out.
150, totally.
I'm like,
start pacing
I don't think they
off.
have. I played Mather recently. I don't even think they have the yardage.
You see it less and less, which is kind of a bummer because even with a yardage gun, I'm still trying to, is that the number and reference and look around, get my bearings.
Yeah, just in case. So, so that's good. So
outside of that,
alignment sticks.
Yeah.
So now you went from the $4 to like the $400 range. What's in between?
The in between.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've got to say golf lesson in there has got to exist
there you go.
somewhere.
Hey, there it is. That's what I was really trying to get you to say. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've got a hunch that like your average male golfer is probably like it's like too much of a shot to their ego to take a
Yep.
lesson. But I would imagine deep down inside they really wish they would.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a great lesson
Or
a
they
great
know,
gift.
or like for me, I would know, okay, if I really want to get good and really commit, I know I got to meet with you at least once a month, at
Yeah.
least for the next year, if I really want to get dialed down.
Yeah, I mean it's all goal dependent, but yeah, having that consistency is definitely critical. I mean, not to say that you can, depending on what your skill level is, your interests, what your goals are, you can gain a lot from one lesson. But for your player who's going, I golf once a week, I have goals this year, then yeah, once a month becomes a necessity
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
But for anybody, one golf lesson, whatever their skill level is, that what that possibly turns into, who knows? But I would say that'd be a great lesson, or a great gift for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I always ask for like the stuff that we know we need every round, but so like the glove, balls. Well, I have my own marker, like ball markers now. But just like that little stuff I like personally. Maybe those are more like stocking stuffers and whatnot, or, but
Golf balls are huge.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a great one to get,
yeah,
no doubt.
I usually stock up at the beginning of the year with all the sales
There
and
you
then
go.
ride it out. So far, I'm so good. I think I have like 3 boxes left of Titleist, so.
Probably counting them.
Yeah.
I'm going to use these for this round.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I did get into like where I would take a sleeve and I wouldn't, if I lost all those, then I'd go into my bag, right? I wouldn't pull out another sleeve and just keep going away, because that means if I lose a sleeve that day, that means it's just not my day. So I might as well just play with the balls I have in my bag, or if I picked up. And what I've noticed is I've also noticed that now I'm losing less of them, right?
Nice.
So before my goal was, okay, just don't lose a sleeve. Now it's like, oh, at the end I'm like, oh, dang, I played the whole round with this ball.
I remember the first day I'd never lost a golf ball in a round, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely good feeling. The idea behind playing the same golf ball is you get short game. You get so much feel and touch for how that ball comes off a putter face, what it does on a wedge, how it reacts. That's the whole point of it. And then when you buy a golf ball that in theory is of lesser quality, between the sleeves you're buying, they can feel different. Whereas when you're buying a real premium one, you sort of are, you could buy one back in the beginning of the year and then in this year and so on, and they all feel and react more similarly.
Or like you said, you played enough, or maybe you hit a tree with it, you put it in the bag, so that one's going to come back out when you lose the sleeves, right? Yeah.
Or that, put it in the shag bag is fine too.
Yeah, there you go.
Done.
Yeah. I just thought of a question. Do you think there is a difference between all the premium balls? So, for instance, Titleist, don't worry, nobody's sponsors, so you can say whatever you want to say. No, I'm just kidding. Do you believe in like Titleist, or do you just kind of, if whatever the person feels, go with it?
I mean, I play Titleist and I absolutely love it, but to be frank, I haven't played any other golf ball in probably like 5 years or something like that. I mean, I hit range
I'm a believer
balls
too.
all
I'm a
the
believer
time.
too. So.
Yeah. But no. What you said, I think, is the correct way of going about it. When people come in and talk to me about what golf ball they should play, that's how I would answer that is, well, what do you like? And if they don't know what they like, then I would tell them is to like buy a variety if they can afford it and putt with it.
Oh.
So everybody does it the other way around, where like how far can I drive it, or so on and so forth. I mean, even to your point, you're not even using your driver on some of these golf holes, right? But you're going to putt almost every single time. So there's an intimate relationship that starts being developed between your putter and the golf ball. And what do you like the noise of? That then sort of correlates to feel, and try to weed out golf balls that way and then move into a wedge. So in other words, you're trying to figure out the golf ball you want to use from the green backwards. Totally.
Yeah. Which is interesting you say that, because I did try, and like I got the Vice was on sale. I got the Vice and I got the green speckled ones.
Yeah.
And I just felt like my putting was off. Like I couldn't trust the line. And then as soon as I went to Titleist, everything was on. At least on my line. I didn't make everything. But it was on where I was aiming was where it was going. whether it made or not, that's my fault.
But
you know, so I think there's, and again, it could be mental, but I think there's something to that. What you're saying is like, go feel it. Go feel how you put it.
absolutely, I would say that as well. And then I would playfully suggest that, like, when somebody has a Scotty Cameron in their hand, they seem to make a lot of putts, which to me is like probably placebo more than anything.
I mean, that's what I have. So.
But golf is a mental game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And if you have a ball, a club where you just are going like, yep, this is in the hole, you're probably going to make it a lot more times.
Yeah, because I could tell, like, off the tee, felt the same, off around the green, everything. But just for some reason, once I got to the green, it just wasn't working. So
they're good. They're a good golf ball. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah,
that.
no, I felt good. That's why I was like so bummed, because I'm like, they feel great. They're the distance. I'm not losing anything off distance really. It's just for some reason I'd set the line, and I just wasn't making.
Oh, I thought you meant the Titleist one. You felt really good with, which I know you mean that as well. Yeah. But yeah, Titleist. I said I'm not. Oh yeah, the Vice. I love their golf balls.
Oh yeah, and then I mean you can just feel the difference. I mean I just feel like it's a pure shot every time. And one thing I wanted to try, it'd be expensive, but do you think that having a brand new ball every hole would make a difference? Like, let's say I went out there 18 balls and I played a brand new ball every.
I mean, outside of what I said just a second ago, being placebo, like, it sounds really nice. I'd I'd hit a fresh ball every hole if I could afford it. But as long as there's not,
the new one.
If there's not, I mean, if there's not a scuff mark on it, no, I don't know, probably not.
Yeah. Again, mental, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm gonna birdie this hole because it's a brand new ball.
I mean, guys are notorious for changing a ball, even if it is brand new. They make a bogey, that one's going in the bag. Let me get a fresh one. It's got bad juju on it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'd be throwing a lot away then. Like, I will say, my main thing is I have like it'll be fine, pars, bogeys, maybe some birdies in there, but I always have at least 1 or 2 holes where it's a triple or a quad.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need to figure, and it's usually around either getting in trouble with my driver because new course, I don't know how far it is, or it's the chipping. You know, I send one across, and now I'm like maybe behind a tree, maybe on a root, you know, maybe. So, and then that's when it, then I'm on, let's say I'm on in 4, so now then I 2-putt or 3-putt, you know, so it kind of compounds itself once I hit that first miss hit, and then it just compounds.
Totally.
So
yeah, I mean, and that's just the mental aspect of golf.
All right. So dang it, I thought you were gonna have something spectacular for me, but it sounds like I just need to be mentally stronger.
I mean,
which I get,
I mean, why were you playing amazing golf up to that point? You know, it's not like the club's any different.
Yeah. And then it's true. It's like once that hole ends, I go back to playing.
Yeah, or sometimes not. I mean, I'll get a string of bad holes going, but it's often more mental, and I've gotten a lot better at recognizing that. I mean, a big part of, I mean, you go through developmental phases, but you know, you tend to think it's my swing holding me back. It's my swing holding me back. When your swing, which yours is quite good, you practice, you center yourself around the game enough, you start to recognize that like, I mean, this isn't true in all cases, but a player's swing creating a big miss, there's mechanics failing there. My question would be like, what did that player's mental state look like in preparation for that shot? And often they go hand in hand. Now, it's not to say that you should discount mechanics entirely. I mean, you can look at somebody's swing and go, that'll be prone to maybe falling apart. But if once your swing starts to sort of produce good results, and you can trust that, you know what that feels like, I'd be more interested with working with that player and investigating, like, what's their mind state looking like? Does it feel like there's a lot of pressure? They just made so many pars in a row, or they're making birdies, or what it may.
It's funny you say that. So I think that's exactly when I'm walking up, I'm like, oh man, I hate this shot. You know,
well,
already.
There you go.
So so I was like, just you talking about it, me thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm already coming up. I'm like, oh, this is 50 yards. Oh, it's a tight lie.
I would take you to that shot, and I would go, JR, like. Just like I said with Vicky, I go, wrong answer. What is this hole to you? And I wouldn't let you tee off till you go, this is my favorite hole. I absolutely love this hole.
Putting this close,
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's. I once everyone always sees this. I had a buddy tee off. I could tell he was in a bad mental state, and I'm like, oh, this will be. We'll see where this goes, and it just went haywire, right? And then he grabbed another golf ball, and it wasn't that he was angry, but you could see there was a determination, and he teed it up, gets back, makes one rehearsal, and I'm like, whoa, this player's in a different place right now. And lo and behold, like, that was a pinnacle moment of my coaching, because I recognized this guy showed up to play golf that day. His swing was going to exist in like the A caliber all the way to the F caliber. He was going to have to deal with it all, but it wasn't going to miraculously, you know, it wasn't like he was practicing while he was playing. And this guy made a swing that was fundamentally different than the one just before it, where mechanically it was much more efficient. And the only thing that I could point to that changed was his attitude. And then it made me realize how powerful and important what your state of mind is in preparation of hitting golf shots.
I love that. Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I think I'm just going to start changing my mind when, even if I don't like the shot, I'm just like, this is my favorite shot.
It goes a long way. I mean, again, you can't completely discount mechanics, but we far often,
if I'm chunking it all day, nothing's really going to help me.
We far too often just get caught there thinking that's the only way to get better. And no doubt you should invest time there, but you know, there's a lot of ways to engage with your state of mind and how to be developing that part of the golf game.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, getting back to just kind of recap, we got the alignment sticks for Christmas. We got the rangefinder, which I totally agree with all those, and then lessons, which I agree with all three. I think those are awesome.
Yeah.
So, and
I'll
then obviously
chime in
you can always
if one hits me.
It's perfect. And then always, you know, I always think balls, gloves, the little things, a towel, you know, for people. I think those little things it's at least for me, it's always the thing I forget about.
Yeah, good goal.
You know?
Yeah, you can't. If I had on my towel, my rounds
or a brush,
ruined, man.
Or
I need a towel every time
a groove
I play.
cleaner. Yeah. Oh, how often do you change your wedges? I mean, I guess it probably depends on how much you play. But
not often.
Yeah.
Not often.
Just clean it.
Maybe
groove.
once. Oh, do I clean them?
No. You know, how long do you change
them? Maybe once a year, which is actually, now that I say it, is probably way more than most players when I come to think of it. But if I could change them, or maybe it's like once a year and a half, something like that, I'd probably change them every 4 months if I had the money, something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's critical, but again, the state of mind it would put me under. Oh, sweet, I got a fresh wedge. It's going to really respond well the way I need it to.
When I was hitting the wedges when they were brand new, I mean, I could throw it out 15 feet, 15 yards, and it was just like,
you felt like you got a lot of bite on it. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's holding my game back. Not having a wedge every 4 months, but if I could, I would probably do it.
It took me a while to get used to them, but then finally when I got used to that like zip, then it was gone because I'd used them so much that then it was just back to my regular, you know, drop shot or, you know, no backspin. But
that coveted backspin.
Yeah, I know.
Good players
just looks
hate
cool.
it. I know.
I was gonna say
when they just rip it too far, and they're so good at striking the ball that it can be the opposite challenge. How do they manage how much spin they're putting on the ball?
So, well, you don't have to be quick, but I kind of want to get to know, how did you get into teaching? How did you know, we already kind of learned how you got into golf. Sounds like you're
my godfather.
Godfather got you in
early on.
Yeah. What made you want to become a teacher, or how'd you get into that, and what made you want to do it?
Well, yeah, I started young, and then my godfather continued to engage with me in golf throughout my life. And then I was going to play in high school, and I tried out, and it was, again, I mean, I might have this wrong, but I feel like at the time it was $200-300, and I was 14 with no job, and it's like, all right, well, tennis is free, so I'm going to go play tennis. And I continued to play all sports, basketball, tennis, didn't play football. I was playing golf. I rode BMX bikes. I mean, I did everything that was active and athletic that I could, which has, not to go off on a tangent, has a tremendous influence over a kid's development in their whatever sport they want to do. I think there's something about, like, if you can skate on ice, swim in water, run on gravel or sand, and what other elements you can throw in there. Now that's what makes an athlete. They just develop this awareness for how they move.
Yep.
But to bring it back to how I got into coaching, I was just playing a lot of athletics. I moved around the U.S. for a while, always golfed, but was never great. You know, like I said, shooting in the 90s. And then when I moved back to California about 8 years ago, I was at a place where I could really invest in golf. So I started trying to get better, which led to meeting a coach. And then that led to lessons and my own development. And then circumstances arrived where I tried to move to San Francisco to get a job in golf. And I asked my coach at the time here in Sacramento, I said, hey, you know, you kind of know the world. What would be a good way to be presentable or be a good candidate for this job? And he said, well, why don't you just work with me or for me?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize that was an option.
Yeah.
So then I submitted a resume, and before you know it, I was working at Haggin Oaks and selling golf clubs and being trained on fitting and so on and so forth. And then it was very short thereafter that this individual mentioned, hey, you know, I think I see a coach in you, and I'd like you to start coaching. And I'll never forget it, actually. So it was probably like a year into it. I was apprehensive and anxious about, oh man, I don't know if I can coach people. I remember saying, like, I'm just starting to learn to break 80. Like, what do you mean, coach? And he said, nah, we get you some newer players, and it's not about so much whether you're the greatest golfer, but how you get people to learn. And I now understand that. But so
because everyone thinks like, oh, I'm going to my pro or my teaching professional or whoever at the course. They got to be shooting scratch, right?
Right.
You know, everyone thinks that, right?
Yeah.
So,
not always the case. I mean, in golf, it certainly helps. It's such a challenging sport, but I think there are numerous examples of history where an amazing coach was potentially not like an amazing player of the game. I'm almost certain that exists.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so I'm sitting there throughout this year. Towards the end of the year comes around, and there's a program being offered. Like an introductory to golf, or I think it was a little more advanced than that. And I walk in from using the restroom, and I see this conversation going down between this individual and my manager. And the situation is that he was the only player that signed up. So they had canceled the program, but he didn't catch wind of it. So he's there for the program. And right at that moment, I walk in, and my manager looks at me and goes, but Will will coach you. He'll get you out there.
There you go.
So I'm still friends with him to this day, my buddy Mark. Nice. I gave him a lesson. We worked on his game for an hour. And I remember sort of like at the end of that lesson, we said goodbye, and I was sort of like, whew, got that one out of the way.
Yeah.
And then Mark came back probably 3 weeks later, and he randomly saw me at the golf course and was like, Will, you're not going to believe it, man. I won the men's division.
Oh,
and I remember
nice.
I couldn't think, and I just, with my gut reaction, I was like, you won? Mark, you were my first golf lesson ever. And he's like, I was your first golf lesson? I was like, cat's out of the bag, man.
Yeah. See, they don't know. You know, people don't know. That's good. Yeah,
it was funny. Mark was my first student, and I couldn't have asked for a better student.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with him to this day. But I guess long story short, right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I've always been a guy who's followed sort of my passions, despite, you know, what is maybe financially more successful or viable or what have you. And somebody picked up on the fact I'd make a good coach. And
yeah.
At this point, I'm trying to make as best of a run as I can with it, and I just
Isn't it kind of
love
cool
the game.
when you meet those people who can see you more than you see yourself?
Yeah, it's pretty.
And they've changed your whole trajectory of your life.
Totally.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, because I mean, you know, just in our short time together, yeah, I think perfect job. Perfect. And you probably don't even consider it a job, right? I mean, or maybe it is.
Things become a job.
Okay,
you do them long enough. But
yeah.
But I am extremely fortunate. I mean, every day I'm outside. Every day that I am outside, I try to remind myself of that. Sometimes I have friends that remind me of that.
Yeah,
you know, they'll look at me and go, "My God, man, how sweet of a gig that you got." And I go, you know what? I gotta be thankful for what I got, because being on your feet, being outside in the sunshine, there's a lot worse things that
exactly, because even if I'm playing bad on the course, I'm like, at least look around, I'm on a course, I'm playing, I'm outside, just enjoy it.
On that note, state of mind stuff, one of the best pieces of advice that I got was I went to play golf at Pebble Beach once. I said,
that's awesome.
to somebody I entrusted, I said, how do I play a good round? I mean, everybody's got that. I'm going to Bandon Dunes. I'm going here. I got this guy's trip. How do I play well? This guy said, keep your head up, look around, and enjoy the scenery.
That's smart.
And I guarantee you play better golf by just practicing that, being mindful about, hey, this is cool. I'm a golfer, and I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a golfer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, too. Courses are on such beautiful, landscapes and just beautiful scenery, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt.
So you played Pebble. How many times have you played it? Just that?
Just one time.
Yeah. That's
was
pretty
a
cool.
story in of itself.
Yeah.
I was right place, right time again there.
How'd you do?
I think I shot probably 82, something like that. There was an amazing episode on hole 18. I think I just kept hitting drivers into the ocean or somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
Just one or the other for about 4 shots. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's talking to my other buddy again, John Burke again. He played there and he said the same thing. It's like he was just so afraid of going in the water that he just played far right.
Yeah.
On 18, sorry.
Yeah, I think that was my second tee shot. I hit the first one in the water and was like, I don't want to do that again. Then hit in somebody's yard and then was flip-flopping for four shots or something before I said, all right, well, this one's a big number.
Yeah. So then you were probably playing pretty well up to that point then.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I was probably 70. 7 or something like that. Maybe it was less than that. Maybe I was on the mark for shooting 80 at that point. It was fortunate I played. It was early on when I started coaching and working, and I was still figuring my game out. And if I had everything going, I would shoot 75. If I didn't, it was going to be a high 80s number. You know, there's still that big swing. So
yeah, that's same. I need to remember that when I do play it, I got to remember, just look around, enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Because I would be terrified to shoot 110.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if I'm terrified, I'll probably do that,
Yeah, if I was there caddying for you, man, I would tell you to look around, enjoy yourself, and then if you asked me advice about shots, I'd go, see a swing and play that shot, man.
Yeah.
Keep trusting yourself, that kind of thing.
I'm always afraid, when I do play, it's going to be the windiest day ever,
Those are fun days, man. Those are fun days.
You hit a driver 150, so.
Those are fun days. I've had some of those.
Yeah. Well, so I appreciate, it's cool to hear your story. I think, you're definitely in the right profession, doing the right thing. I really enjoyed, our time playing together, enjoyed you today. So just real quick, where can anybody listening, where can they find you,
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. I'd be thrilled to help out in any way I may be able to. I work at Haggin Oaks Golf Course.
Okay.
I could be hard to catch just because I'm coaching quite a bit, but you can find me there. My email is wharvey, Harvey, at hagginoaks.com.
Okay. Do you have an Instagram or?
I should, but no, I don't have any social media.
Hey, I don't blame you for that. Yeah,
I'm sort of, if you know, but I'm not going to be found there.
I don't blame you one bit. Yeah, if I didn't have to do all the social media stuff, I mean, it's just, but
I mean, there's a lot of benefit. I mean, this is fun to do. I appreciate you having me on,
of course,
what have you. But I coach out of Haggin Oaks, and I'll be there, and track me down. I got an email. Their number's not hard to find. His name's Will Harvey. And
Will Harvey. We'll put your email. We'll put everywhere, or we'll put Haggin Oaks where to find you.
Yeah.
We'll get it going. So if anybody is listening or watching, it'll all be in the description. You can find our guy Will here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
let's figure out how we can help you.
So again, thank you here, everyone at X-Golf. Thank you to Gavin, and of course Will Harvey for joining me today. Just had a great time, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. And thanks for watching, and thanks for having me out, man. Yeah, be happy to come out again too.
Of course, yeah.
We got to when you break those 10 rounds.
When I get a few under, we'll come back and recap them.
It's gonna happen this year, this upcoming year, man.
I feel it because it's like a goal now. Before I kind of threw it out there, And I was like, yeah, if I do it, but now I'm like, no, that's my number one goal next year.
There you go.
Yeah.
Manifest it,
Yes.
man.
So, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.